Welcome back. The UAE's financial markets are closed today and trading will resume on Sunday. So let's now take a look at the various currencies exchanged into dirhams, followed by the price of oil and a selection of commodities. And looking at business news abroad now, US stocks posted their first weekly gain in 3 weeks as more healthy earnings news lifted Wall Street on Thursday. Gains were limited, though, with another 180 S&P names due to report next week. Apple's blowout results and strong reports from a number of industrials kept sentiment on the bullish side after investors were on guard for disappointments headed into this week. The S&P 500 ran into resistance close to 1,340 points, a level that has triggered selling plenty of times this month. It finally closed up 52 points, finishing just above 12,500. Light volumes saw only about 6.45 billion shares traded overall, below last year's daily average of 8.47 billion. The S&P 500 finished up 7.02 points at 1,337, and the Nasdaq closed at 2,820, up 17.65 points. Japan's government refrained from issuing new bonds as it approved a $49 billion emergency budget on Friday. More than 90% of the budget will be financed through spending cuts in existing programs like foreign aid and subsidies for families with children. Tokyo is also tapping reserves for pension payouts. The cuts and transfer of funds to the emergency budget kept the actual size of the extra spending below $4 billion, making it unnecessary for the Japanese government to issue new bonds for now. But with this approved budget covering only 1/6 of an estimated $300 billion in material damage from the disaster, analysts expect Japan to issue new bonds later this year. A hike in the sales tax from 5% to 8% to help finance reconstruction is also seen. Gold in India surged to a record high, nearing 22,000 rupees per 10 grams, following a global high, triggering purchases from investors looking to hedge against rising inflation. This, however, has scared the traditional consumers away from the markets. The most active gold for June delivery on the multi-commodity exchange was 0.52% higher at 21,886 rupees per 10 grams, after hitting a record high of 21,917 rupees. In recent months, gold has rallied on the geopolitical uncertainties and fears of high inflation in major developing economies, including China, India and Brazil. The earthquake and tsunami in Japan that caused huge losses to the world's third largest economy have also had an impact on the price of gold. Analysts expect a sharp slump in gold demand and the volume of transactions to remain largely unchanged.
By the end of year, I fear that the prices are likely to go up further, and which will hamper a lot of business of jewelers and silversmiths, and I don't see a bright future in the coming years in our trade.
And carmaker Toyota Motors expects production to be disrupted for another 7 to 8 months before output returns to normal. The company's president, Akio Toyoda, said on Friday that domestic operations should return to normal in July, but overseas plants could take longer, perhaps till August. Toyota declined to provide any guidance on earnings, saying recovery efforts have been hampered by continual aftershocks. Toyota added he's encouraging his suppliers to consider moving some of their operations overseas to hedge against future supply disruptions. And after the break, we take a look at the day's sports news, so stay with us.